issue now that Andrew Cuomo is bringing up in New York is that he is a Ugandan citizen. Uganda is a country where they kill homosexuals.
So somebody who is a dual citizen can't be mayor of New York, or?
I would renounce, if I was the dual citizen with a country whose policy, government policy, was we kill homosexuals, yeah, I would renounce that citizenship.
Right.
I don't, and so not, and he also.
I think that is buying into a fear. I think that is buying into a fear framework that is not good. It's not good for the country. It's not good for the country.
You shouldn't be afraid.
Maher has his foot pressed firmly on the gas as he goes straight after Mayor Mamdani, and the heat is impossible to miss. Even before New Yorkers officially handed over the keys to City Hall, Maher was already sounding alarms and predicting disaster ahead. Now that Mamdani has been declared the winner, Maher isn't holding back at all. He tears apart the logic behind Mamdani's agenda using his trademark sharp humor. This isn't just criticism, it's a full-on roast of a city government drifting hard to the left, served up for everyone watching.
Right? The Republicans are not that, democracy is just not number one on their list. It just isn't. It isn't. It's behind Christianity and a few other things. And the Democrats, I mean, I read these, 74% are for democratic socialism. Only 16% favor capitalism. Is this going to be a country that I don't recognize in 5 to 10 years if we don't have these two pillars?
First, there's a point where Maher deserves serious pushback. His claim that Republicans don't care about free speech or democracy simply doesn't hold up. More often than not, it's Republicans who are openly defending free expression, pushing back against cancel culture, and resisting efforts to silence opposing opinions. They're often the ones standing up for the very freedoms Maher suggests they oppose. That said, Maher absolutely hits his mark when he turns his focus to Mayor Mamdani and his socialist agenda. There's little debate that Mamdani's vision for New York leans heavily towards socialism, and the consequences could be serious for both the city and the state. Higher taxes, bigger government control, and slower economic energy are real risks that threaten what makes New York successful. On that front, Maher's critique is sharp, timely, and worth paying attention to.
This is not just New York that's on the ballot. I think the whole Democratic Party in the country is on the ballot. And the whole country will be looking at this race to see which way are the Democrats going to go. Where are the Democrats going with this? If Mamdani is the face of the Democrats on the East Coast and Katie Porter is the face on the West Coast, I don't know if that's great politically for that.
No, Bill Maher, things are not going smoothly for the DNC. Allowing woke activists and rigid ideologues to steer the party isn't a winning strategy. It looks more like a plan for collapse. Over the past few years, Democrats have leaned deeper into identity politics, cancel culture, and extreme progressive positions, and the results are becoming obvious. Instead of building a broad coalition that speaks to everyday voters, the party has narrowed its appeal, locking itself into ideological corners that feel disconnected from real life. By choosing virtue signaling over practical, results-focused solutions, the DNC has pushed away moderates, independents, and even longtime supporters. Swing voters aren't looking for slogans or purity tests. They want stability, competence, and leadership that delivers outcomes. Right now, the party's direction doesn't offer that. Without serious adjustment, Democrats risk becoming an echo chamber celebrated by a small base, but rejected by the wider public.
It is a walking commercial for the Republican Party.
I think the Republicans are going to...
When you let the Democrats, socialists, and now they're actually calling themselves socialists, when you let them take over a major American city, this is what you get. State-run grocery stores, which worked so well in Cuba and the Soviet Union and Venezuela. New York is New York. It's definitely the media capital, the financial capital. It is a bellwether like no other city is in this country. So don't tell me that who the mayor of New York is doesn't matter.
Poor Mayor spares no one as he criticizes Democrats for rallying behind Mamdani, and in his view, the backlash is deserved. He describes the move as a massive miscalculation that could hand Republicans the next election with little effort. Mamdani's far-left, socialist-leaning platform makes him an easy target, and the GOP wouldn't have to work hard to exploit it. Simply highlighting his most extreme ideas could spark swift and damaging backlash. For Maher, this isn't just about campaign strategy, it's about basic judgment. By backing such a divisive figure, Democrats have given their opponents plenty of material to use against them. Instead of appealing to moderates, they've lost control of the narrative. Maher's warning is blunt. This could be a self-inflicted mistake that costs the party dearly in upcoming elections.
Definitely has the power and influence to elect J.D. Vance or whoever is the Republican candidate next time. It is a walking commercial for the Republican Party nationally. Socialism, to put it simply, just doesn't work and has never worked. We've run this experiment many times, and the results are always obvious. It turned one of Latin America's richest countries into one of its poorest. Low wages, high inflation, shortages, outages, 8 million people fleeing. If you think New York can somehow reinvent this wheel, you're in for a rude awakening.
On the surface, the promise sounds appealing. Equality, shared prosperity, and government-run services for everyone. But when the government takes control of essentials like grocery stores or basic services, reality quickly sets in. These systems often fail to meet demand, creating shortages, inefficiency, and frustration. Productivity drops, innovation fades, and everyday people end up paying the price for an idea that sounds good in theory but breaks down in practice. Despite history offering plenty of warnings, the DNC appears to ignore them. The party continues to flirt with socialist policies, brushing aside real-world failures seen in similar systems around the world. The result is proposals that sound compassionate but often lead to disorder and disappointment. Socialism may be easy to sell in speeches, but when implemented, it frequently lets people down.
Who's the most popular politician on the left?
AOC?
One of, but who's... You know, Bernie is
Bernie, yeah.
Bernie is, I mean, he's not a capitalist, you know?
No, he's not. And he's also not president.
He's not, but
And never would be.
But neither is Mamdani.
No, but he will, trust me, he will be featured in the campaign
But they're
commercials.
going to feature, they boogeyman everybody.
Yeah, but you don't have to boogeyman him. He does it to himself.
But they'll do it regardless. Nancy Pelosi, Hillary Clinton, Gavin Newsom.
Yeah, but
they make.
I know,
anybody
but it has.
I think it was.
Just have more weight when it's real.
Maher argues that Republicans won't even need to invent a story to take down Mamdani. In his view, Mamdani will do that himself. There's no need for exaggeration, Maher says, because the policies speak for themselves. Proposals for major tax increases and expanded government programs are exactly the ideas that worry voters who value economic freedom and efficiency. While these policies may appeal to a small segment of voters, they risk driving away moderates, independents, and even some Democrats. In effect, Mamdani's platform creates its own negative storyline. The GOP wouldn't need to oversell anything. Public backlash would grow naturally. From Maher's perspective, this kind of self-created vulnerability is political malpractice and could come back to hurt Democrats badly in future elections.
The guy running in New York, Mamdani, right? Okay, who's like a straight-up communist. I mean, he is. He talks about, you know, the things that communists say. I mean, he wants free grocery stores, free buses.
I want him to win.
You want him to win?
Yeah. I think every 20 years or so.
Wait.
We need every 20 years or so, we need a conspicuous, confined experiment with socialism so we can crack it up again. Socialist slogan used to be, workers of the world unite, you have nothing to lose but your chains. The new socialist slogan is, trust us, this time it won't be a mess.
That now appears to be Mamdani's go-to defense, asking voters to simply trust him and believe that this time socialism will work. He argues that past failures don't apply to him, claiming he's smarter, more disciplined, and immune to the mistakes that crushed other economies. It's a familiar argument, one history has heard many times from confident leaders who turned out to be just as wrong. The problem isn't his confidence, it's the track record. Socialist systems don't fail because of bad intentions. They collapse due to broken incentives, bloated bureaucracy, and unchecked government power. Still, Mamdani wants New Yorkers to believe he's solved a problem no one else could. To skeptical observers, that claim sounds more alarming than comforting. Trust alone isn't a plan, and faith isn't a substitute for result.
When post-war labor government in Britain was about to get started, one of their leading lights was a socialist named Nurian Bevan. He said, what could go wrong? He said, we have a nation bedded on coal, surrounded by fish. It would take an organizational genius to have a shortage of either. In 3 years, they had a shortage of both. That's socialism.
Maher is right to highlight how many socialist systems throughout history have struggled with chronic mismanagement, often ending the same way. Instead of delivering fairness or prosperity, centralized control creates inefficiency, waste, and frustration. When governments dominate production and distribution, bureaucracy expands and decision-making slows to a crawl. Productivity suffers. The promised equality rarely shows up. Resources tend to collect at the top, controlled by a small political elite, while regular citizens compete for what's left. Shortages become common, quality declines, and accountability disappears. People promised abundance find themselves waiting in lines, dealing with rationing, or turning to black markets just to get by. This pattern has repeated itself across countries and cultures. The ideology promises equality, but the reality delivers power to a few and hardship for the many.
Do you think that Mamdani's election will lead more financial organizations to leave New York City for Wall Street South in Florida? Tell me, I've read that term just recently, Wall Street South, Florida. This is your state. What is that?
A lot of Wall Street guys have moved to Palm Beach. It's been happening really since COVID, accelerated with increases in taxes. It's not just out of New York. It's New Jersey, Connecticut, it's Chicago, it's California.
So they're fleeing high tax states for Florida.
Maher is also warning about a growing movement of people leaving blue states for red ones, driven less by politics and more by daily pressure. In his view, families aren't relocating simply because of ideology. They're escaping high costs, rising crime, homelessness, and unstable public safety. Businesses are also packing up and leaving states like California and New York, where high taxes, heavy regulation, and steep operating costs make survival difficult. Even wealthy residents are moving out as tax burdens climb. Maher's warning is clear. When people, companies, and investment all start leaving at once, it signals serious structural problems that can't be ignored.
This is the luckiest guy in the world that Mamdani got elected, because his district is going to explode. My house, I live 8 miles outside of Queens, has gone up 20% in value since Mamdani announced. Okay? Because people aren't going to pay the punishing taxes. New York is the highest tax state in the union.
You said your house value's gone up.
Yeah, because they're moving to Nassau County.
Oh, they're moving out of the city.
Out of the city, and they can still take the train back in the city and not pay the millionaire's tax or whatever crazy thing this guy wants.
In the end, Maher's warning cuts through the noise. This isn't about personalities, it's about consequences. When ideology overrides common sense, voters, businesses, and money don't argue, they leave. The Democratic Party's flirtation with socialism, represented by figures like Mamdani, risks speeding up that exit. High taxes, state control, and the familiar promise of "trust me, it'll work this time" have a long and ugly track record. Again and again, these experiments lead to mismanagement, inequality, and frustration, not prosperity. Maher sees the danger clearly. By embracing extreme policies, the DNC isn't winning over the middle, it's pushing it away. Meanwhile, Republicans don't even need clever messaging. The policies speak loudly on their own. If Democrats refuse to change course, they may watch elections slip away, not because of bad messaging, but because voters have simply had enough. And with that, we wrap up today's video. If you enjoyed it, hit like and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.